Hey, what's up everybody? BDO44 coming at you another video. Alright, so I know I normally wait till it's time to walk down the street to do a Laker video like this because it gives me so much more to speak about, but I'm not going to wait. I'm sitting here doing art right now and I'm hearing a lot of Zach Lavine rumors. And we talked a lot about Zach Lavine last season, him possibly coming to the Lakers and what it would take for that to happen and what would be my opinion about that. And right now he's coming off of knee surgery. I think knee surgery that was probably needed, but not nearly as bad as he as ultimately making it so that he had it during the middle of the season. He was traded to the Pistons, and to keep that trade from actually happening, he had the surgery. So now you're looking at a situation where he's probably healing up from that surgery pretty good. Probably ready to get back on the floor. And as we know, Zach Lavine is a big-time athlete. Can score the ball from behind the arc, rapid pace, fly with the best of them. He's won, 2 NBA dunk contests or something like that. So he's definitely a different specimen. And when he gets back on the floor, I'm pretty sure he's going to recover much better than most. Even if he loses some athleticism, he still has so much more in the tank that'll keep him above the fray. And I don't think he's even 31 years of age yet. I don't think he's even 30 yet. So I don't doubt that Zach Lavine is gonna play good ball one way or another going forward. We'll see some good Zach Lavine games that will make us want to have him on the team. I think that. However, his contract's at $40 million plus a year. He is coming off of this surgery. This is his second significant knee injury that he has had that I know of. Maybe even more than that. But the first significant knee injury was back in the day when he was with the Timberwolves. But the problem that I'm running into when I try to consider if I want to bring in Zach Lavine really is his contract, and the injuries are just a part of that. So for me, knowing what the market is for the Chicago Bulls, as I always tell you guys, you follow me enough, you know I think this way. If your team doesn't make good decisions, then that works against you when it's time to put what you have on the table and start pricing it. And the Chicago Bulls have made some poor decisions with their timeline, holding on to some players, and not resetting in situations where it's obvious they need to. Their fans have suffered a mediocre core of DeMar DeRozan, Zach Lavine, Alex Caruso, Vucevic. That cannot win in the Eastern Conference. It's proven that it can't stay healthy in the Eastern Conference. And on top of that, they got the Lonzo Ball contract that they signed right before he went down with an injury that's kept him out for almost 3 years. With him probably not going to be ready for the start of this season either, although I heard some good news potentially on his latest knee surgery that maybe makes it so that he might be able to continue his basketball career. At the end of the day, that's part of the problem as well. $80 million. Well, I don't know if that's 80 still, but he's owed money that's eating at their cap. And what the last thing I heard in regards to Chicago Bulls is that they still were not ready to make moves. They didn't make any moves in the trade deadline to make their team any better. They kept Alex Caruso, a win-now player, on top of that situation. DeMar DeRozan is now a free agent, potentially looking to move on elsewhere, maybe re-sign with this team. But the point is their GMs, both the one they just fired and the one they now have in place, just have been reluctant to make any moves in regards to this, blowing their team up, even though they're not good enough to even get out of the play-in tournament. Much would say the same about the Lakers. But I think the difference is the revenue that LeBron James and Anthony Davis can bring you, and potentially the ceiling of a team like that is far exceeds what the Chicago Bulls ceiling is potentially going to provide. So as I look at the Chicago Bulls, I just say, look, if y'all ready to start making good decisions now, I respect that. If y'all ready to blow this thing up and start moving everything that you can and start building around Kobe White, I think that's a great decision. Kobe White is arguably the most improved player of the year last year, although I think they gave it to somebody else. I still think that award belonged to him. I think they gave it to Tyrese Maxey or something like that. But for me, it was between him and Jalen Johnson in Atlanta. And I thought that Chicago had the most improved player of the year, whether they want to give that award to him or not. And that's who should be the focus going forward. Moving on from Vucevic and his contract probably makes some sense. So if they're ready to start doing stuff like that, get Zach Lavine off the books, I think that'll really signify that they're ready to turn the corner. as a franchise, and I hope for their fans' sake that is exactly what they're doing. The problem is when you've made so many bad decisions in a row, you're going to have to eat the bill on that. In negotiation time, you're probably going to be screwed. You're probably going to be looked at as somebody who's not unserious until you prove you are serious. And since they haven't made any decisions that would make it so that anybody who's paying close enough attention would think of them as serious, I'm not going to approach them seriously. If I'm Rob Pelinka, I will respect myself and not be laughed off the phone. But as far as me doing a deal, for example, they're saying right now that the Zach Lavine contract now won't cost any first round picks. Oh, I know. Because it's going to cost you first round picks to get rid of it. See, that's a salary dump. An overinflated contract that should have never been signed on a player whose injury history at that point had already been extensive. You can't sell me that contract without making it so that I'm taking back something that can replenish the future that contract is ultimately going to be drawing away from me. I told them that last year before the knee surgery. Now you know my price tag on bringing back Zach Lavine's contract is rather absurd. I understand the Chicago Bulls have a couple first-round picks in the future. Obviously, they're trying to reset their situation. I'm not going to take all of their first-round picks, but I will not be doing a Zach Lavine deal without taking this year's first-round pick from them. I'm just being honest with you. There's no way I'm doing that. They can have the salary match talent, but they're not taking Austin Reeves because obviously we've kept a stranglehold on Austin Reeves and have set the bar high for anyone who wants to pry him away from us. So in the event I'm taking on a contract that's overinflated to an injury-prone player that has been proven to not play well in certain situations and had little playoff success in his career, I look at that as me doing you a favor for taking that off your hands. And given the Lakers' circumstance, I'm not in a position to be doing anybody any favors. So I'm going to need something that's going to make it so that contract is worth it to me. And as far as I could tell, you simply telling me that I don't have to add any picks to that contract, to that trade, that's not serious. If you're in a negotiation table with myself, you're not serious. Because I was never going to offer you anything for that. That's not desirable. Not only to myself, but literally to anybody. And the only team that was willing to take it was just the Pistons, as to which he screwed them over by having the surgery so that he couldn't get traded there. I'm docking y'all for that too. For his insubordination that he did to the Detroit Pistons, more or less, I'm looking at that like, there's some things there to make me wonder if he's going to be acting crazy when he get here, or doing something he shouldn't do when he gets here, or decides to have another knee surgery if something goes a certain way. That goes against him and you, Chicago. So, like, as I pay attention to stuff like this, people would not want to be on the other negotiation side against me, because I'm going to dock them for not only the stupidity that they've engaged in not resetting their situation with a bunch of players that are not good enough, but also his intentions upon controlling the narrative. After already signing an inflated contract, for which I think was only signed so that they can find a patsy to take it from them, likely the Los Angeles Lakers, of whom they thought were stupid enough to do it. So I'm docking them for that too. Chicago, you don't get to tell me that Zach Lavine is now not worth as much to you, and so you won't ask us for any picks in regards to moving him. He's not a desirable piece at all, fam. I'm doing you a favor by taking it. That's how I look at that. That's not a desirable piece. Find somebody in the league that finds that as a desirable piece and then bring them back to the negotiation table. Then we can start talking about this being a player that simply won't cost me any picks to acquire. All I got to do is throw in salary. No, I don't want to match salary, because that's not a value. I'm not sending out value that has that much discrepancy to it. I'm sending out good contracts on healthy players. If I'm sending you Austin Reeves, he played 82 games last year. He's on one of the best contracts in the league. That's not a salary match. You're bringing me back the worst contract in the league. You see what I'm saying? On a player that isn't healthy. So no, you're going to need to throw on something on top of that to make up the difference for that being a negative asset, and the assets I'm sending out being positive ones. I'm not sending you Rui Hachimura's contract. His contract is good in this league. You see what I'm saying? These are good players. I'm not sending you Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's one of the best defensive players in the league. No. I send out good stuff. You send me back garbage. And so to make the garbage not garbage, you got to send me back something good. You're not going to give me Kobe White. And I could argue everything else you have on your roster that's playing basketball is not desirable to me. I don't want Vucevic. It's just an inflated contract that shouldn't have been signed. You know what I'm saying? Patrick Williams, a player that hasn't developed properly. Like, what do you have? You have problems. And if I take that contract from you, you have a solution. That solution is going to cost you. So that's how I'm looking at Chicago. Like, man, y'all ain't going to be able to move that Zach Lavine contract to the Lakers if I'm controlling things. Now, maybe the Lakers have a little more of a lesser way of looking at it because they need a star, and all the other stars are going to cost them draft picks. But that's because those stars are attached to healthy players who are capable. What's his name? Trae Young? That's a positive asset. People want him. He's a young player going forward. Hasn't been hurt. He only had like the pinky injury or something like that. He's going to be fantastic going forward. Donovan Mitchell, great playoff performer, already proven. Cleveland overachieved with him on the floor. Couldn't win a game without him. Obviously, that's a positive asset. If I'm going to send out salary matches to those teams, they're going to want something on top of that to make up the difference, since these are positive assets and I'm just sending out good contracts on nice players. That would make it so that then I would need to throw in picks. So I understand the Lakers' concern, knowing that they just have to have a star. And Zach Lavine could be, considered a star if you really want to tell yourself that. But if you're actually paying attention to the landscape of the NBA, you understand that he's not a star. Zach Lavine's not a star. He's overpaid. He's coming off injuries. He stayed injured even before that. There's no reason to bring him in unless someone's going to make it worthwhile to you. Unless you don't recognize that what it is that you're bringing back is not. And I'm not that stupid. So that's what it really comes down to for me, man. I'm not saying I say no to a Zach Lavine contract. I'm just going to make sure Chicago brings me back picks. I'm going to have their first round pick from this year and probably a plethora of second round picks. And that's me being generous to them, because what I really want to do is dock them for several first round picks, future first round picks, next year's, the years after that, swaps, all types of stuff. Because that's what I think of Zach Lavine's contract and the player attached to the contract. Nothing of it. That's not a star. That's a negative asset. It's going to dig me into the ground. Now, I'm likely not going to be able to trade for the same amount that I'm sending out if I give you salary matches. Not to mention that in order to make the salaries match, I got to give you stuff that I like to take back something I don't. Hell no, that doesn't work for me. That's all kinds of negatives. I don't want to do none of that. I see an opportunity, though, for me in my Laker brain to get some future assets, which everybody seems to think we need to be sending out. I think we should be able to get them back if we take on Zach. I'm getting like 3 second rounders and the first rounder from first this year, and I'm not sending out any of my first. So you telling me I could walk away with what the market may consider being a star player in Zach Lavine, and instead of having 3 picks going into the next season, I'd have 4? Yeah, that's a win for me, because I value picks more than these folks do. You see what I'm saying? Most who you're listening to is like, let's send out 3 picks. No, I'm not sending out no picks. I'm bringing back picks. And from what I understand, listening to Trevor Lane and several others, the market seems to be open for this year's picks because everybody's looking at this as a bad draft. So they want to sell their first rounders. That's when I start looking around and saying, okay, how can I acquire first round picks? That's how I think. And many will say, well, Brandon, you need to win now. No, I don't. No, I don't. That's what everybody is telling us. That ain't what's best for the Lakers. What's best for the Lakers is recognizing that even if you do something in the name of winning now, you still ain't good enough. That's the reality. Now, do I want to work within the spaces of reality, or do I want to work in the spaces of pleasing public opinion and making people feel better about what is ultimately not possible any damn way? I can make us marginally better in theory, but if you look at how it really works when you bring in 3 stars, you're not actually making yourself marginally better. You're waiting for one of those stars to get hurt, from which then inevitably they likely will, because you're not going to have the requisite amount of pieces around them to give them breathers and keep them healthy and make the team any good. So you're asking those stars to do more than what they actually should. That doesn't make you better. That just gives you the guise of telling the media and people who don't know the game that you are better. You're not better. You're not better. You just get to lie about it. That's really what that is. It gives you a much better mask to hide the lie. But that is not you actually being good enough to win a championship. What's going to make you good enough to win a championship is going through the path of acknowledging the anticipating nature of being not good enough any damn way, and doing the things that can actually put you in the closest position to be valuable as a roster. And for me, that is bringing in first round picks while everybody is trying to get rid of them this season. That's the truth. If I can get 2 first rounders in this draft, that's what I'm going to do. I'll keep 17. I'll do the Zach Lavine trade, and I'm taking back their pick at whatever it is, 19, whatever Chicago's pick is, 15. I don't know what pick they actually have, 13, something like that. I'm taking that back. And then I'm drafting a player with it. And I already have a couple players in mind that I would draft with that pick. Or I can trade the pick, do something else with it, trade down, have even more first rounders. While everybody else is trying to get rid of players in this draft, I already have about 6 players that I would love to add to my situation in any given situation. Meaning, not to say that I'm drafting all 6, but I already found 6 dudes in this draft that I would love to have. And if I could have 2 first round picks, I know I can bring in talent that's going to make us better in the present and in the future. I already know who I want. So for me, it's like, while everybody's trying to get rid of picks, oh, this is a bad draft, let's mortgage all these picks to try to win now. None of y'all winning now. None of you, only one team is going to win the championship next year. The rest of you guys are going to be swinging at the fences to try to put the mask in front of your face to say, see, we did enough. So everybody will say, yeah, you did enough. That ain't real. That's no substance in that. What's real substance is bringing itself value, actual value that you can trade in the future, young players that can come in and raise your floor and give you some hope of those players popping into something good or great. Not this garbage about sending out all the young talent, sending out future picks so that your team, even if it sucks, you don't have nothing to draft. All of that is bad. Nobody should actually be doing that. The teams that don't do that will not suck. It's the teams that do that's going to suck for a long time, I'm telling you. I ain't going to let it happen. So, yeah, am I doing the Zach Lavine trade? Sure. Because it kills 2 birds with 1 stone as far as I'm concerned. It gives these guys the mask that they can say, oh, we got 3 stars. Yeah. And if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm bringing back all kinds of pick equity on top of Zach Lavine, which is really making me better. Yeah. Because I'll tell you right now, you go get Trae Young, and you send out 3 picks for Trae Young, you know what's going to end up happening? Trae Young is going to be asked to be more than he should be when LeBron James decides to load manage and Anthony Davis goes down with whatever injury is inevitable. Now you got him running around with a bunch of trash. Why would I sign up for that? Why would I not anticipate that? That's inevitable. That is going to happen. And that's assuming Trae stays healthy, which ain't the greatest bet. That's garbage. I'm not sending out no first round picks for that. That's a bad mask any damn way. It don't even look like it's going to win. Do I bring myself a marketing, great, nice young piece, but he's going to cost a lot. So if I'm sending out draft equity, I want to make sure that the player I'm bringing back is going to play more basketball games. And I don't expect marketing to play many basketball games. Bron and AD, I don't expect to play more than 50 games this season. So you see what's going on? I need a star to come in to run with garbage. Who's going to be good running with garbage? Because if Bron and AD both go miss games, there's going to be about 30 games out there with a star that I'm bringing in is the only person on the floor who can play. Why am I signing up for that at all? Well, I don't mind that player being Zach Lavine if I'm bringing in first round picks on top of him. But if I'm asking that player to be Donovan Mitchell, Donovan could probably get you a couple of games. You're still going to lose a lot of games in that situation. And you're probably going to lose Donovan Mitchell because he's not the most healthy guy himself. And I've heard Mikal Bridges name a lot. Mikal Bridges. You're not getting him. Josiah's not sending Mikal Bridges to the Lakers. And he don't even value first round picks. So he's likely going to ask for something that you can't give him. Because he don't even like picks like that. So, that's the problem that the Lakers are running into. They want to be able to stand behind the idea that they made moves to get to a point where they at least did their due diligence in getting better. We did this, so don't blame us. If what you do is going to be something that real savvy people like myself look at and say, oh my God, we got worse in the future, then I'm blaming you anyway. And I'm going to encourage other people to blame me too. Now, if you can bring me a superstar that I can retrade for a future of first round pick some year down the road, then I see the value in that. If I can trade DeJounte Murray for 2 first rounders and another good guy, or if I could trade Donovan Mitchell for 3 first rounders and another good guy, or whatever the hell, swaps and stuff like that, then okay. Like I said, that's the only reason why I would do something like that. The problem is we got to get from this point to that point, and if that player goes down with the big injury, they're going to be worth less, not more, even if this is the intention. So that's why I say depth is going to keep that player healthy. Shallowness is going to get that player hurt. You lean to the idea that you're bringing that player to you to more than likely get hurt and lose value. So it's like, I don't think that's a good bet. I think that's a bad way to move. I tell y'all that's a bad way to move. It should work if the player can stay healthy, but he's not going to stay healthy because you're not going to have the players around him to make it so that he's not doing 3 and 4 people's jobs. So that is the problem. And if he's a superstar, he's already got a lot of mileage on him any damn way. So, doesn't work. So this is why I think a Zach Lavine trade actually does make sense for the Lakers. Because if you can make it so that Chicago realizes the true value of Zach Lavine, which is a certified flat-out salary dump, then you can get a first-round pick or a second-round pick on top of him. And you get more assets from which to use in a draft or trade. That's the only way a positive comes out of any of this. Everything else is people doing stuff they shouldn't do because they're worried about what people are going to think. And I think that is a bad path. A very bad path. So, hey, Zach Lavine at $40 million is awful. I'm not going to be able to trade that. I don't think he's going to play more than 30 games a season. I don't care to bring in the player even if he's healthy because I don't really like the player that much. But I don't see too many other paths to me getting more picks. And that's what I want. As a Laker fan, I want more picks, not less. I don't care for getting rid of no picks. I want to bring in picks. And if you can do something that's going to get me picks, that's the move. And I think killing 2 birds with 1 stone truly gets you a future in regards to, yeah, we can get that superstar name that ain't going to win, and we know he ain't going to win, but people are going to be happy, so do it. Cool. And I can get some assets that are going to give me actual value. That's how you do it. That's exactly how you do it. And I don't see any other path to you getting that but a Zach Lavine contract trade. But the key to that trade is making sure Chicago throws in pick equity on top of Zach. If they can't throw in pick equity on top of Zach, then it obviously defeats my purpose. I'm not doing no salary match for Zach. So, yeah, man, that's what needs to be said. And I'm certainly not throwing in any pick equity, not even a second round pick for Zach Lavine's contract. Absolutely not. Chicago's sending me something for that. And if I'm Chicago, I'm probably doing it because I really need to get rid of that damn thing. I really need to get rid of that damn thing. So that's my point of view, man. I want people to understand that. We don't do Zach Lavine contract trades unless first round picks are attached to it. 1 first round pick, 4 second round pick swaps all up and down that. The point is to bring myself back tradable equity so that I can have cushion for my rebuild and more ammo to retool around this team either at the trade deadline or next off season. But if I'm getting rid of all that right now so that I can make everybody feel good about something that ain't going to be good enough any damn way, then I'm not doing my job as a GM. Not the job that I need to be doing. Public perception is garbage. It's not about what these people think. It's about what you can actually accomplish. And if you're doing things that hurt your ability to execute because of public perception, and you're terrible at what you're doing. I cannot stress that enough. Salute to Kobe minute. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. That's my point of view. That Zach Lavine trade, I'll do it if Chicago's willing to actually provide the value that contract is worth. You know what I'm saying? Make it make sense to me. You're going to give me a first round pick and a many seconds. And you're going to take Gabe Vincent. You know what I'm saying? You're going to take all the salary crap that I don't want. You're not taking Austin Reeves. You're taking Gabe Vincent. Obviously, I got to throw in Rui Hachimura, which I'm not happy about. D'Lo's sign and trade would have to be involved in that for me to even be able to do this. Because I'm not sending out stuff I don't want to send out. Obviously, AD and Braun are not going there. So, you know, you're definitely taking Gabe Vincent. You're definitely sending me back first rounders. Otherwise, no deal. Try to find somebody else who take him. That's it. I'm not paying Zach Lavine $40 million to be hurt, bro. Not without it making sense to me. Y'all can sell that to other people who ain't paying attention to this closely, but someone like myself, no. That don't work. You don't dictate what Zach Lavine's contract is worth at this point. You just be happy somebody be willing to take it for any damn thing. You're lucky I ain't asked for no Kobe White. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.